Tak, vítejte na třetím pokračování Spring Classics, kde pojedeme dneska, mám, že se všechno rozchodí, trochu mi to tady stávkuje, kde pojedeme dneska na fenomenální kopec Mont Ventoux. No, takže teď uvidíme, jestli se připojíme, už nám nezbývá moc času. Satr. Aha, dobré je to. Všechno by mělo být v pohodě. Tady to taky jede. Tak, snad to bude v pohodě. Takže uvidíme. Dnešní taktika je taková, aby se mi nezastavily nohy. Abych to ve zdraví dojel. Nikam se nepoženem. A hlavně to je výlet a nikdy bych se tam asi nepodíval. Tak uvidíme, jak to tam vypadá, že jo. Dneska se mi fakt moc nechce. Kdyby to doufám, že se uvidíme s Marťou. Kdyby to nebyl Marťa, fakt by mě to mrzelo. Takže už se jede. Nebudem to nikam hnát. Nohy mě bolí. Procenta to budou drsný. A už se pěkně propadáme. Dáme hned na začátku asi nejlehčí, jak to tak vidím. A už je to tady zase. 17 km masakru. Navoskovali jsme řetěz, vyměnili řetěz. Hned je krásně tichý chod trenažeru. Jezdím na tak Neo 2T, který si myslím, že je špička. I vzhledem k tomu, jak se na něm jezdí z kopce a jak krásně vlastně umí napodobit zleva doprava tu jízdu. Chtěl jsem si tady pustit livestream přímo komentovaný, ale nějak mi to nefunguje. Vidím, že nejsem sám, že přenos nejede ani dalším lidem. Se ptají, kde je přenos, nic nevidí. To stejné jako já. Chtěl jsem přímo tady od profíku vědět, co se děje. Jak si to tam kluci na začátku rozdávají. Pěkně 5 W na kilo. Takže já doufám, že to tady dneska nějak přežiju. Že to bude opravdu dlouhý. Takže je to taková ta moje klasika. Na začátku se držím kolem toho 150. fleku a dneska to nějak neměním. Neměním přehánět. Je krásně. Zítra bych chtěl jít do lesa. Trošku poškádlit bajka a techniku. Tak se tady nechci úplně zrakvit na Mont Ventoux. Nikomu to nefičí, chlapci, což je strašná škoda. Podívám se, jestli nám jede přenos, tak až budu starý děda a budu moct ukazovat vnoučatům, že jsem třeba nebyl úplný sráč. I když je to virtuálně, tak v těch nohách to mít furt musíte. Dokonce se mi tablet vypl. Vypadá, že příliš daleko, trochu se nahne. Ale vypadá to, že to asi dneska nepofrčí. Tak jsem se těšil, jsem to vyladil, aby mě to dneska bavilo i s tím přenosem. A nic. Škoda. Tak to si jdem potom, no. Dneska to bude taková hodně monotónní jízda, no. Pojedeme si kolem těch 240 W. Zde mám tepák, ani jsem si ho nezapl. No, tak nevadí. Žovka je přede mnou. Pěkně jede žovka. Zatím je mi hej. V prvním kiláku, že? Píšou, že facebookový stream is on. Tak to zkusíme jinak. By mě mrzelo. Protože se nemusíte dívat. Že se nemusíme dívat na cestu. Tady mám Aldu procházku. Nedával tam dneska žádnej. A už se najíždí do tvrdých procent. Tady to komentují Angličani. Takže Jan Vasto, první Vaslík, druhý Robert Hula, třetí Ondra Cink. Takže poslechneme si to v angličtině. Aspoň budeme vědět.
Sorry about this. Everybody knows. No, I thought he won it.
No,
Okay, well,
sorry, you got
still,
nine.
to
That's
even
still
be running up there, even to be running up the front of one of those
It's a
big
good
races, is nothing to be.
Nothing to be sniffed at, no.
Exactly.
So on our screen at the minute, I'm sure you guys on Facebook and YouTube can see as well, there is just a sea of little coloured blobs heading up this mountain at the minute. I mean, they must be almost a kilometre apart at the minute.
They're
Look
all
at
doing,
that.
so who are we looking at now? Fifth place is doing currently 13, they're around the 13 to 15 kilometre hour mark. So the con time up here from Pantani way back in the day, I think was around the 22 kilometre hour per hour mark. So they're a bit off at the minute, but they are obviously on the lower slopes, which are quite a bit steeper. So that's to be expected, but they are touching some huge numbers there. Just sitting in the wheel, third place now, 460 watts.
Oof, and you can just really see it starting to get steeper, and that's really going to be pinching the legs now. I always find, at least for myself, when I'm on the indoor trainer, everything feels harder. I don't know if you find that.
But I feel like with almost the views and the scenery, I know that's a strange thing to say, but with this augmented reality, you can actually see where you're going. You can kind of see the climb about to kick up, and you can see somewhere to go, and it's something to distract you. It's the same thing in real life where you start pacing yourself to the corner and thinking, right, okay, I'm just going to keep going this hard to that next tree and then to that next corner. You can do something similar on here. It's riding the real Bond 2, really, indoors at home.
Exactly. Just living your best quarantine life. Awesome. So, I mean, this is obviously one of the most famous climbs, the most iconic climbs, but I'm wondering which of the climbs is in your eyes the most iconic? Is it 112, Stelvio?
I'm more of a or
Yeah.
sort of something like the Mur or the Copper. That's the sort of races that I enjoy. However, that's not so much a mountain. That's more just like a little kicker compared to these sort of things. But I think something like, for me, the iconic climb to sort of, when Cancellara riding away from Bowman on I think in 2009 Tour of Flanders. Someone correct me on it, but yeah, I think those sort of climbs for me really stand out. So,
I think it's a tough one. I mean, obviously the Belgian Murs and Bergs are very iconic in their own way, but I just love the Alpine passes. So I would have to say Stelvio, just because I love all the switchbacks. That just looks so pretty. And it's also in that really nice bit where it's kind of Switzerland and Italy border, and I just love all that region around there for cycling. So yeah.
You've now got Jan Bassel, who is still driving hard at the front. He's now opened up quite a considerable gap. He's opened up 100 metre, just over 100 metre gap. He's consistently riding at 6 watts per kilo, which, if he can hold the whole way up, that is a very, very solid speed and a very solid tempo.
What do you reckon you can do for an hour?
I don't think I can do that. I'm not really built for those sorts of efforts, but I think I would be suffering.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
So,
we have got a lot of people commenting from different places around the world. It's great to see how many people are actually joining in with us. But if you do have any questions, just send them over to us at Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. All forms of social media, we're open to
So, Jake, what is the toughest thing about being a pro cyclist?
I think it's that sort of the day-to-day. Everyone gets up every now and again and just doesn't want to do their job. They just don't want to go to work, or they just want to lay in bed. But I think it's that sort of giving yourself kick up the backside to actually go out and ride a long ride when you're suffering, when you're already hurting. Something like that is really tough. That's what I find the hardest. And especially in times like this, when you've not necessarily got something to aim at, it makes it that little bit harder. But it's great to have, apps like Rouvy and things like this to actually be able to give yourself some sort of competition and really actually aim, not aim for it necessarily, but it just gives you that little bit of motivation, because everyone's in the same boat, really. No one's really.
Yeah, exactly, and with a lot of the events being cancelled and postponed this year, you do need that little bit of extra motivation. If you've got a few races, for example, these Real Spring Classic races, you can give yourself a kick up the butt to do them.
But I think that's probably the hardest part, just sort of waking up and, if it's your hobby, you necessarily don't have to ride, but when it becomes a job, it's a lot more like, okay, I have to go out, and sometimes you just wake up and you're stiff, you're just aching from the day before, or or it's raining outside. That's the worst one. You get up and you're not feeling great, but it's raining as well, and you go, so then you have to motivate yourself to really kick yourself out the door. So
I found that when I was riding full time, the hardest thing for me was just the monotony of it, the day in, day out, get up, go ride, eat properly, stretch. Like it in itself, if you do everything right on one day, it's great, but you have to be doing that rain, shine, whatever mood you're in. It really is a lifestyle you have to buy into. You have to be willing to go to bed at 9 o'clock in the evening to make sure that you can get all the work done the next day, or get a proper night's sleep, because you need to be rested for the next day. It's kind of that sort of consistency that builds up. But everyone feels this. Everyone feels it. If you've done cycling at all to any sort of level, even if you're just a club rider, it's just that consistency of riding a few times during the week that really makes the difference. Definitely. So, just having a look at the race at the minute, the top 5 has been shaken up. Andre sunk, no pun intended, into 8th place.
Když to půjde.
He's yo-yoing between 8th and 9th. And we have Jan Bastille 200 metres ahead of second place. But it is just carnage out there. It's really impossible to tell you the top 3 or even the top 10 at this moment.
Jumping around, this is sort of what you expect on a climb like this. You sort of expect people to just sort of be riding their own tempo. But with Jan Bastille now, he's just sort of ridden away, and everyone is now sort of trying to pace themselves back up to him, but he's now got the benefit of being in front and leading from the front, which is always sort of where you want to be, because then you can control what happens. If people want to close up to you, it means they have to go harder than you.
And you can just ride at your pace, you know.
He's now just...
Definitely. So, if you are enjoying watching this race and you think, oh, I quite fancy suffering for an hour inside of an augmented cycling app, then there's actually a few more of these races, aren't there? So, we have 2 more coming up in this series. The second one is on the 29th of March, which is this Sunday, and then we have Scolino Scala is the race on Sunday, and then the 31st of March, which I believe is a Tuesday, there is another race, Vils-sur-Ozon. That's my French. Monier, yes. So if you want to get involved, these races are going to be on 5 p.m. on this Sunday and Tuesday coming, and you can get Rouvy for free for 30 days. So if you're interested, it's definitely worth downloading for your free 30 days.
You can get involved. You could be one of these 460 people that we are commentating. And, you know, if you're up to the task, but Jan Bastille now doing nearly 6 watts per kilo still. Just consistently riding at 6 watts per kilo. So you feel like you're up to the challenge, you really want to take it to these people, you can jump on and download the app for free for 30 days. Take part.
Yeah, so if you were watching us on Facebook or YouTube, you will know that all you have to do is download the app, make a login, and connect all your sensors up, and you can roll. But if you're watching us on Instagram, all you have to do is have a smart turbo, a bike, a willingness to suffer, and all you do, download the app, sign in, you can get a free login, 30 days, and then boom. Okay, so we've got a few questions coming in on Facebook. Sorry, not Facebook, YouTube.
Tady drabe originální cyklista na videu.
Just try and pick through.
So, do you want to run through the specs of this race for everyone?
Specs for this race?
Yes, so it goes up to 1,800 metres of elevation.
Yep.
How long is it?
This is a 17-kilometre climb, so it's really solid beast of a climb, really. You're looking at like a really consistent sort of gradient, but especially over the top, it never really sort of flattens out. It's a really solid effort, this, but we know for a fact that the record done by Pantani at 46 minutes, averaging over 20 k's an hour, so 22 k's an hour for the whole climb. Is just almost untouchable nowadays. You have people like Chris Froome, who's still like a minute and a half off of his personal best of Pantani, and it's definitely some sort of beast this far. Been sort of a feature in the Tour de France for years now, and it's sort of become one of those climbs that the races never really won necessarily on Ventoux, but it's more or less where you can see the real protagonists for the Tour actually start to take shape. And this was the climb where obviously Richie Porte, Bauke Mollema and Chris Froome had that accident through the back of the motorbike.
Oh, that's awful.
Also where Vincenzo Nibali broke his back. A lot of things have happened on Ventoux. Nairo Quintana this year, unfortunately,
Sedí s vínem.
Now the race is not going on, but Nairo Quintana supposedly broke the record for the first section of this
Ale
climb.
to nás nemusí
So
rozhodit.
he was obviously in stellar form early season.
Když se tady zase podívám.
Currently kicking up to 11% now for Jan Bastel. So
A máme tady mladýho Prochina. 50 metrů před náma. Který rovněž sedí na Rouvy. Akorát ručnou čarou. Nějaký kilometr a půl.
Was it on your phone?
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get the comments up.
Comments so we can see them. If you've got any questions, just feel free to get involved on our Instagram or over on YouTube.
And I'm just going to get the questions up from Facebook, which is why you can hear my phone. Bear with me.
Je krásný náskok.
Simon Hine here saying, what kind of anti-cheat efforts are implemented in Rouvy? It is so easy to manipulate the AMP Plus protocol. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, that is one of the issues with all of these sorts of all of these platforms for e-racing. That is unfortunately one of the things you have to look at. Again, you can look at people's heart rates, which is something that other competitors have been doing as well, to balance out and make sure that you can get like a platform across their power curve. But there's no real way of stopping the cheating on there. But, I mean, we try not to focus too much on it. Maybe it does happen. Well, we know that it has happened previously, but we just think that as long as the people taking part take it upon themselves to actually be fair, that's all you can really hope for. You just hope that the people taking part take the honest approach and respect their other competitors, because realistically you're only cheating yourself and the other people involved. You know, it's not
But realistically, you would never know if someone's cheating. Whether that be a virtual race or a outdoor
Exactly,
race.
it happens outdoors as well. It happens on these, but
Mezi nimi.
try not to focus on those wins of sport. Just try and focus on the good parts and hope everyone respects other
Yeah, and a
competitors.
lot of the point of these races, you know, you're not winning any money, it's purely for your own enjoyment and to gain fitness and to experience riding with other people online. So, you know, I think it's not a problem. So we've got a question on Facebook from Ollie Attinger. What's the difference between outdoor racing and virtual racing, like on Rouvy?
So I'd say, well, obviously you're indoors, but also the main difference really for this sort of thing is some people can actually put out more power on a turbo. I've seen some people that can put out more power and a lot of people put out less power. It's something you really have to practice if you really want to get good at indoor racing. There's a lot of people that can put out way more power on a turbo trainer than they could outdoors. Outdoor racing comes down to a little bit of craft. And, you know, you have to really think about the course and the corners, which you do have to do on other platforms like this. But outdoors is really important. You know, your bike handling comes into it. Bunch position really comes into it. Whereas sort of more the indoor racing is a lot more, you know, I've got more power than you have and I'm going to ride faster. So if you are strong enough, you can just power off on something like this, whereas it's really quite a bit harder to do outdoors. So I think that's a really good question, actually. It'd be interesting to see what the times are today with this sort of power, because, you know, they're riding at nearly 6 watts per kilo, which is to be stepped at. It's a really solid tempo. It'd be interesting to see what sort of times the guys run today, the front runners riding up on today, because then that will give us a really good comparison to actually what it is in real life.
Yes, exactly. We can make that direct comparison to the likes of Pantani, Indurain, and pretty much everyone in the 1994 Tour de France. Make of that what you will.
Yeah, I think we
top
did look at most of the I think it was the top 4 or top 5, was it?
Top 4 or 5 times.
Top 4 or 5 times set up on Moto was in the 94 Tour de France with Pantani, Miguel Indurain. And, you know, take what you want from that, but it could have just been a really bloody good day. You don't know.
Yes.
You know how much the wind affects it.
propracováváme.
So it could well be.
Pomaličku dopředu.
So we've got a question on Instagram from Annabelle. She says, do you train differently for virtual races?
So, yeah, but like I said before, for virtual racing, if you want to get really good at it, you have to train virtually. You have to train on. You have to train indoors. So you have to train on. The sort of prolonged intensity really benefits you when you get back out.
But it is interesting because if you think of people like Mark Cavendish, they would probably actually be really bad at virtual racing because their strength is in short bursts of power and being really efficient in the bunch. It's not that they don't put out big power, because they do, but if you look at a Tony Martin, a Fabian Cancellara, these people with massive engines, they'd have probably been absolutely amazing on virtual races.
Yeah.
But it does suit a different kind of rider just purely because of the nature of it. It's flat out for the duration.
Yeah. Well, somebody like actually Van der Poel, who obviously can do everything, but someone like him who is incredibly solid for the 1 hour blocks, almost be untouchable and things like this. You think, but you know that by sort of training specifically for this indoor stuff, it can help you do this, but it doesn't completely translate to outdoor performance. It's not necessarily like I'm really good at this, I'm going to be really good outdoors as well, because the outdoor aspect has a lot more that it can throw at you. You know, you've got slightly more going on with, you know, wind direction, and how you sit on the bike makes a big difference as well, and, you know, just sort of how you hold yourself in the bunch, which you can't necessarily do all that well on things like this. But yeah, it's really good.
So, just having a look at the race, currently we have Jan Bastille in the front, second is Martin Stosek, they're about 390 metres back, but the race for second is really hotting up because there's only 50 to 100 metres between second to 6th place at the moment. So really it's anyone's game. I'd say we're coming up to the halfway point, almost. We are 25 minutes in, so maybe give them another 5 minutes and they'll be about halfway up the climb. But they're still putting out some huge numbers, around 400
Good
watts at the moment.
Nielsen, Froome spinning or Contador's grinding?
Oh, Contador's grinding.
I think it looks hard.
I just like Contador, it looks cool. I don't know, it's hard because Froome just doesn't look good on a bike.
I disagree. I really disagree. I genuinely think about. I genuinely think that Froome is a solid bike rider. I just really like his style and like actually how he rides. He's sort of created his own style. If you've got any questions to talk about with the race that's going on, so we've currently got Jan Bastille still sitting around the 5 watts per kilo mark. He has now a comfortable lead over second of 440 metres, which is, you know, over half a kilometre, which on a 17 kilometre climb is very significant. We've got an incredibly close second with these two battling, with Christian MTV and Martin Stosek in second and third. Both riding very consistent, and it's sort of like that battle of the minds. They're both riding very consistent power outputs, and everyone seems to be sort of pushing each other on. Not much of a drop-off between anyone in the top 10. Again, between second and 10th is 500 metres, which means that, you know, first place is quite a way in front now, but it's all still to play for, because on something like this, especially with something like Montu with distance, it's really, with 17 kilometre climb, you can really bring back 500 metres quite quickly.
And equally, you could definitely go too hard and blow up towards the end. I mean, I always think that the last part of a climb is the most difficult, when you can see the finish and you just think it's almost there. And the thing as well with Montu is it becomes so much more open, and they come out onto almost like a lunar landscape up to the top of the climb. So it'd be interesting to see where people are and how they're feeling once they get onto that open section towards the top.
Keep hitting us up on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just try and let us know any of your questions about the race, about Rouvy itself. Because I know that maybe a few of you, this is a new platform and to race your bike on and get involved.
So,
se mi líbila
talking
víc,
about
ale
getting involved,
už
how
na ten monument
do
nemůžete
new
zkusit.
people get involved with Rouvy and what's going on?
So it's race.rouvy. You head over to their website. Just sort of,
Budeme muset
you
dneska.
just race.rouvy.com. It's really simple. You just fill out your email, send it to them, and then they'll give you a code which gives you 30 days free to give it a try and see what you think. If you like what you see, you can continue. It's a really quite a good idea, really. Augmented reality. It's got the top 100 climbs in the UK for those who are interested.
Může vidět vrchol.
So,
Za chvilku budu na
Yeah, it
vrcholu.
has so many routes from all over the world. So, you know, if you're away from home at the minute or you just want to get some of those epic, iconic climbs in, then Rouvy is a great place to go. So, do you want to take the question on Instagram? So, Annabelle on Instagram asks, what's the difference between Rouvy and Zwift?
So Rouvy is augmented reality. So it's a character placed onto a real road situation. So the best way to describe it is sort of a street view on Google Maps, and you can see the climb as you would on a street view, but it's a video of you climbing. Then the video is increased in speed or decreased depending on the speed at which you pedal and the power that you produce. Pretty intuitive, and it's also quite a good way of actually seeing the course. And if you really wanted to, you could ride the climb and learn even where the potholes are on the climb, so that when you go there in future, you know, oh, okay, I'm coming up to this corner, this has got this happening. That's quite good. Zwift is a lot more sort of just sort of the software of riding a setup bike online. That's what Zwift is aimed at. That's what they try to do.
Yeah, so they do have real routes, but it's
They do
not.
have real routes, but it's not a real.
It's
time.
more like
it's
video
their
game.
creation of said road. So you can do box hill.
So Chris Hall says the rider on the camera looks like she is absolutely smashing it. And you would be correct, because they are doing a maximal hour effort. So they're probably riding at their threshold, or maybe even slightly above at this point. So, you can really see that she is feeling how hard that is. Oh, crikey. But yeah, I just think it's so amazing that you can, even though we're in this difficult situation at the minute, that you can go and ride 1-1-2, Stelvio.
You can get involved with a lot of other people. There's 460 at the start today. We have 460 starters. Everyone's just giving it their all. And it's just a good way of even just pushing yourself on. If you're not racing for the win, you can just race along with other people and try and do your maximum effort 1-1-2, which obviously, as you can see, they are doing.
It just shows you how hard this is. That is a serious pain face.
Talking numbers doesn't really do it justice, but everyone can relate to something like that. Everyone's something.
So Louise Gibson has just managed to message the Instagram live. I don't know how you're managing to do that whilst also climbing at 1-1-2, but chapeau to you. She's holding position 107. Bless her. So that is an absolutely awesome ride. What is the fastest QOM up 1-1-2? That is a good question.
Good question. We're actually going to have to search that.
I'm going to search it now. So, whilst we're on about this, I've had a question. Is it better to climb on the drops, or the tops, or the hoods?
The hoods.
That was
Definitely,
a quick answer.
definitely.
You need to elaborate on it.
You can go on to the tops just to sort of, once you get your tempo, but if you're on the hoods, with the amount that you'll have to change gear and get out of the saddle and change position all the time, for sure, the hoods. Unless you're Mikel Landa and you can go on the drops, or Pantani, go on the drops, but you're really looking at climbing on the hoods is probably going to be your best bet for getting the most power out of yourself, which is when a bike fit comes in and things like that, just to make sure that you are getting the best out of yourself in that position. But that should be your most comfortable comfortable position for an effort such as this. I mean, no one looks that comfortable currently, but I'm saying that could be less comfortable.
That's
Not that it
understandable. So currently we are following Louise Gibson. She is in, what position is she in? Let's see. Oh, we missed it. But as she said on the Instagram, holding place 107.
Yeah, but still now onto where it starts to sort of flatten out. You go into a nice little flat spot just before the split. Going to take the left-hander here, and then it starts to come out into that lunar landscape that everyone knows from the Tour de France videos of Rouvy attacking Quintana just out of this corner and getting the gap, and then catching Quintana to beat Quintana to second, as well as to rub salt in the wounds when Sky dominated in 5.4%, so it's backing off, but it's not even
So I'm currently trying to find the Mont Ventoux segment. Oh, I almost found it.
So we are still time gap. So Jan Still has now just gone through that first split. The first split is, we're trying to look for the distance, 11k. So he's done 11k, 34 minutes. 6k left to go. Doesn't sound like a lot, but 6k up one of these climbs is a solid amount of climbing still to go, and it's kicked up again. It's now back up to 8%. So it's really starting to kick up around these switchbacks, which is something that happens on these bigger climbs. The second place,
Martin Stosek.
Martin Stosek has now pulled a little gap out of Christian MTB, now about a 60 metre gap, which isn't a lot, but it might just be enough to start breaking.
So we'll just see how far behind he is once he comes through this time split now.
600 metres, this is what we were saying before, with 600 metres it doesn't sound like a lot, but on the road itself, on a climb like this, it's minutes. It's a long distance, especially when you're riding at 6%, 5%.
So according to Strava, the fastest QOM up Mont Ventoux from Bedouin is 1 hour and 14 minutes and 51 seconds from Natalie Figliolini Andre.
1 hour, 15 minutes.
Yes. So I am not sure. She has got a lot of QOMs. How do you even say that? QOMs on that ride. But in terms of in a race, I'm not sure if there's been a women's race that has gone at Ventoux, but I will endeavour to find out.
What did Latour do? Was that Alpes?
I think they did Alpes d'Huez.
No, they didn't.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Martin Stosek has just gone through the time split. He has put in 12 seconds to third place, Christian MTB, but it's not over yet.
Martin Stosek 1 minute 54 down on our leader. Jan's still sitting around the 5.86 watts per kilo mark, pushing on over 7% as well on these climbs, coming up to the intermediate time check now for Neely.
So Martin Stosek, for those interested, is actually a professional mountain bike rider who I believe rides for Czech Republic. He does.
It will be cross country, so that'll be why it's a 46-minute. Well, it's about around an hour's effort. This.
So it's probably an effort that he's quite used to.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see. So.
Seeing if we can see by the cadence as well. See, he's still sitting quite high. Christian MTB sitting around the 76 mark for cadence, which is quite low, but Christian MTB, by the name, you'd expect him to be a mountain bike rider. So he's probably slightly more used to the higher torque effort around that sort of power.
So, fun fact on Martin Stosek, he was 5th in the Czech National Championships cross country in 2017. So he is.
It was 2017 when Steve won.
I don't know. I could find out for you.
No, Jaroslav Harvey. So Harvey winning. Well, they've got a lot of good riders from Czech Republic.
They
No,
do.
je možná
So
vidět,
we've got a
ale-
lot more coming through now. So we've been
Jo.
through first, second,
To je můj
third
největší
is
fanda, že?
Jan Bastille, Martin Stosek, Christian MTV. Then in fourth place we've got Needy.
No, ti jedou
I'm not sure who
dopředu,
that
no.
is, but then we've got Robert Thula, Lakov,
Zkouším
Purell.
rychle, dobře. Dík.
I think, in sixth place,
Ne, nepij
and
mi to,
then
prosím tě.
Tom Hanlon,
Já bych pak
181,
neměl,
and
víš?
number 8 is Scarly.
Over 5 watts per kilo still. That's amazing.
Very impressive.
Amazing.
Chris, can you tell us if Louise is the first woman on the road currently? We are yet to, we don't have that info.
With the top 10.
So, just another reminder, if you're watching this on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, please do send us questions, anything you'd like to know about the racing, Rouvy itself, or maybe you want to ask Jake a question, or maybe me a question. So, fire away. In the meantime, we're just watching all the riders come through split number 1. How many kilometres do they have left once they hit split number 1?
So once they hit split number 1, we looked at it before with Jan Bastille coming through, and that was around the 11 kilometre mark. So they've got around 6 Ks left to go, but that's when they're starting to hit that lunar landscape where it starts to sort of, well, really starting to ramp up around some of these corners. 10.98 kilometres, so it's pretty bang on, really.
So there are 3 splits in the race. The first, as we've just mentioned, it's about 11k. Split number 2 is 13.16 kilometres up the climb, and then the finish is how many kilometres in? 17.
Now, where are we? We're now following along again with Jan Bastille, still pushing hard around 6 watts per kilo, around the 400 mark. Riding now about 18, 19 kilometres an hour. Consistent pedalling still, solid cadence, riding around
And
the
he
cadence mark.
he has just gone through split number 2.
Just going through time gap. Time gap will give you when we get ride number 2 through, but he's done that first section of 13 Ks in 41 minutes.
And what's crazy to think is that the fastest ever time up Mont Ventoux
For the full
is
17 kilometres.
46 minutes dead.
For the full time. So we're watching these guys and we're seeing the power that they're producing and how many watts per kilo that is.
Vlastně začíná být
We,
opravdu vysoko.
yeah, that's just amazing. That is amazing. If you have any questions, just keep sending them over to us. We'll try and answer them. We're trying to give you as most up to date as we can.
Se
Watching,
půjde spát, no.
following along. We're back on board with Martin Stosek. Still riding hard, doing 5.5 watts per kilo, but it's starting to sort of become a consistent rate around 8%, 7.5%. So he's now sitting back into his rhythm again. So we are now going past, there's a photographer on the side of the road. Somewhere up there is the Tom Simpson Memorial on this sort of top section of Ventoux, where it sort of opens up from where the bottom was, overcast with the trees and things like that. And it's now opened up into a lot more of a lunar landscape. If you remember a few years ago, they had to actually reduce the distance of this climb and put everyone down the mountain because of how the wind in real life actually reacts over this climb. The sort of landscape is just like that because of how windy it is around that area. Coming straight in, I think, off the coast. Actually. Yeah, it's off the coast up there.
I mean, it's so open.
It's so
you can
open
imagine
outside,
that,
so it's
you know,
coming
depending on the day, the wind would come from any
around,
which
yeah,
way direction.
Around 100 kilometres an hour, the wind over the top on certain days in real life. So you really have to sort of pick your days and know the season when to go, just to make sure that you get the perfect conditions to ride the full length and actually enjoy it rather than just suffer.
Yes, exactly. So if you're following us on Instagram, we are currently sharing our screen with one of the professional Czech riders. His name is Mira Scala, and he is a pro mountain bike rider. If you're following us on YouTube or Facebook Live, then you won't be able to see him because he's only on Instagram Live, but you guys have the privilege of being able to see the proper race footage. So you're definitely locked in into the best place there. So we now have third place just coming through, split number 2. So that
opened out a bigger gap now, but still pushing on. He's opened up even more of an advantage, another 20, nearly another 30 seconds over second place.
and
20 seconds over.
and there's about 30 seconds now between second and third. Do we reckon that Christian MTV could make a final run?
I definitely think that he could now continue to push up if as long as he paced his effort properly. As long as Martin Stosek hasn't gone too hard too soon, he could come
because
back
if you look at the FTP percentages, it does look at the minute that Martin Stosek is riding slightly harder.
Yeah, it sort of
There's a
balances
higher
out. They're riding
percentage.
around the same sort of speed, around the same sort of percentage of that FTP. They're still doing a consistent sort of RPM. Everyone's sort of still spinning up, and they're just keeping it nice and steady up the climb. We're now on board with
Turka S, who is in 59th place. As you can see, the further it gets down the field, the closer people are together.
But if you look at the difference, in landscape between the two,
Yeah, so
between where
these
we're
guys
looking
are
now
still.
with 59 position versus first position, they're still in the trees. They've still got a long way to go.
Yes, definitely. So do keep your questions coming in. We would love to answer them. I'm going to see if I can get up the Facebook questions. Okay, have you done singlers Vontu? No.
I haven't done anything up until I'd love to go. It's one of those bucket list climbs. I got to do Stelvio. That was a real bucket list. That was amazing. I did a training camp in Vigno, and it's one of my favourite places.
So Cycling Life asks, how do you train for long climbs?
Best way to train for long climbs is those sort of like prolonged efforts of percentage of your maximum power or heart rate. Just sort of pushing on for a long period of time. You also want to practice in more of a sort of sat upright position, because if you're from, like for instance where we are, it's a lot flatter. So there's a lot less climbs to really train on, and you really need to practice training at that lower cadence. So you need to train for that sort of low cadence, high power or high percentage of your hour power, and just sort of practice that sort of level of suffering as well. So you need to really practice hurting yourself for a prolonged period of time, which doesn't come naturally. Just getting some information passed to us now. So now that makes sense. Now we are working out who it was. Teresa Saskova. We were trying to work out how to pronounce her name. Sorry about that. But she is the lady you can see pushing on here, and
underneath
right,
us here.
Underneath.
And you'll be able to see her on Facebook or YouTube, but not Instagram.
Still pushing on now. Still holding a very solid speed. Still doing around 3 to 4 watts per kilo, which is very, very solid. Sitting nice and comfortable in that group as well. We have some more questions. Really shouldn't go how hard to is. Is it better to climb on the tops or the hoods? No, we've already done that.
Yeah, we did that one.
Definitely on the hoods. Definitely on the hoods. Don't go on the drops, not unless you're Landa or Pantari. No sound. Are we back again?
So,
Are we back?
hello. If you're watching us on Instagram Live, do just let us know if you can hear us, because I believe the sound has stopped working for some reason.
How many times has Vontu appeared in the Tour? That is a good question. It's sort of been a staple of the Tour de France. I don't know an exact number. I can definitely find out for you. Try a quick look. Sorry about this.
So we seem to be having a bit of a trouble with our Instagram live feed. I'm sure someone will hear me say that and come in and help fix it. But for the meantime, for those of you on YouTube and Facebook, we are coming through split 2, which means there's only 3 or 4 kilometres left. Jan Bastille, our leader, went through there in 41 minutes, almost dead, and he is still putting out almost 400 watts, 5.6 watts per kilo. Absolutely insane, and he is very much in the lunar landscape now. How cool is that you can just see how epic this climb is?
There we go. So I'm on the Wikipedia page for the Tour de France, and the winners over Mont Ventoux, 15. So it's only been used 15 times by the sounds of it, most of which are French. Last winner up there was Chris Froome. So there you go.
If you're watching us on Instagram, please let us know if you can hear the sound. If you've just joined us, we are live streaming over on Facebook and YouTube. We have the Rouvy Real Spring Classics races, which are virtual races.
We're having some technical issues with that, but we'll continue to commentate on the actual racing itself. Pushing on now towards the top of the climb where it's starting to flatten out. We say flatten out, it's just dropped down to a lovely, relaxing 9%. So we have Jan Bastille still riding consistently over 5.5 watts per kilo. That's just absolutely unbelievable. Martin Stosek, 5 watts per kilo. Also, we've got a lot of people still pressing on. The gap is closed a little bit between Martin Stosek and Christian MTV. Gap is only around the 120 metre mark. Definitely closed, it could be closed up. The gap between 4th and 3rd as well is still only like 100 metres or so. If this was on the road in real life, everyone would be screaming at them, trying to get them to get closer and closer and closer. But as it is on this, we can't really watch them all riding at the same time. But we now have Jan Bastille still pushing on, doing 400 watts. He's managing to do 400 watts on the slightly... It's not flat at all. That's 12% of this. That's really steep. But it's definitely opened up into that lunar landscape as he goes up to the real steep pitch of this left-hander. Somewhere up around this section is the Tom Simpson Memorial. I think it was a little further down. But
so Tom Simpson, obviously the British cyclist who sadly passed away whilst racing at Mont Ventoux. So if you just joined us on Instagram Live, let us know where you're from and if you can hear the sound. We're currently live streaming the Rouvy Real Race series. So if you have any questions about Rouvy, do let us know. Rouvy is an augmented reality cycling app for when you're cycling indoors. And we think it's pretty awesome. We're currently commentating on a race at Mont Ventoux. They are 50 minutes into this race.
So it's really going to be starting to bite now.
It's going to be starting to bite. 50 minutes at a threshold or maybe even above for some people. And we are coming into the final kilometres. The battle, the top 10 and beyond is really heating up. There's a lot of groups still together, which is surprising because I would have thought that it would have split up completely.
What will happen, I think, is people will just be almost pacing themselves and they'll find a group of which they're consistently riding with people who are as strong, if not a little stronger, and they'll try and just hang on to that group for as long as they can. So you do get these sort of like groups. It's the same as a bike race where you hit a climb and it just sort of disintegrates immediately, and you find a group and just sort of hang on to a group of people that you think are probably climb as well as these guys can. But we've still got people who can just push on like that at the front, which is just a different breed, really.
And if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you will see that Teresa, who we've got, lovely lady just down below us, she is really starting to look like that the climb is hurting. And we have Jan Bastille. He appears to be coming up to the finish line now. Or very close.
We just need a distance on him to see. He's definitely coming up to the last bit. It just sort of starts to pick up a little bit now towards the top. Last couple of corners really start to bite, but Jan Bastille still pushing on, still holding around the 350 mark. still pushing on.
We've got a question on Instagram. Do you guys cycle indoor or outdoors during this virus?
I personally still cycle outdoors, and that's just because I don't ride with anyone. I don't come into contact with anyone. I don't go into any shops.
And because of the rules.
And because of the rules in the UK as well. The UK. Here we are, Jamba still coming up towards the finish line, kicking up and over this last little bit, pushing on to the finish. He's going to win it by quite some time. And he's also done it in a very respectable 54 minutes and 13 seconds. That is a very good time. That is a very good time.
So that's the time he's laid down the marker. I wonder how close everyone else will get to him.
I definitely see some more people commenting with the outdoors solo. I think if you're going to ride outdoors, for now, don't ride in a group. Just do not ride with other people. Just ride on your own. Don't bother risking it. People are dying from this illness, and you may not be affected, and the person that has it or gives it to you or whatever may not be affected, but it's not that. It's the person you then come into contact with later on. So just be sensible in this time, and if you're going to ride, you can ride outdoors. You can definitely do that. You just have to be sensible with it. Don't go into it. If you're sweating and you're really, really tired, just try and avoid going into shops and things like that. So don't try and come into contact with anyone while you're out. We now have Martin Stosek coming up to this final corner as well. He's just coming up to the last bit where it really starts to fight.
Only a couple of 100 metres left now. He has done an amazing effort because he was more than 2 minutes behind previously, and now he's pulled back time.
This is definitely one of those sections where it just seems to never end. We have the last corner here where famously you had the Lance Armstrong and Marco Pantani little duel where they both staring each other out, and really it was a big talking point for that year's tour.
And he is
pulled out a good gap. It's definitely in one. There's no. I was going to say ones and twos, but there's no twos. Everyone's in ones. It's all over the road.
There's no question on who's getting second place.
But we have still a big push. Christian MTB is doing more power now. He's doing much more power than Martin Stosek. There's a bit of a kick between the two as they're sprinting against each other. But Christian MTB did pull back quite a bit of time then, almost catching Martin Stosek off guard. Not expecting him to surge back. We have Needy in fourth as well, who's pulled back a bit of time. So they're all sort of pressing on to get to that last little bit. Just when it kicks up out of the last corner, all trying to close up and put pressure on each other when it really matters in that last.
So Martin Stosek has now finished.
Martin Stosek druhý.
And we are just waiting.
Just want to see as well, if you guys have any comments about what you think to this platform, what you think of Rouvy itself and the augmented reality, just let us know. Let us know in the comments.
So someone asked, what is this? So we are live streaming a race on an app called Rouvy. Rouvy is an augmented cycling reality program where you can essentially have your avatar, your character, ride and race if you want to on real roads. So you're actually experiencing what it would look like to go up through Mont Ventoux, which is the race we're doing at the minute. And the best thing of all is that Rouvy are offering 30 days free to anyone. All you have to do to try out this software for your indoor trainer is go to race.rouvy.com, enter your email address, you'll get a login, and you get 30 days free subscription. Go try it out. You can train on it. You can join us for the next 2 races in the series. There's going to be a race on Sunday and then a race on Tuesday, which you can join, which we will also be commenting on. It is another indoor cycling platform. Yes. So if you have any further questions, do let us know. We are trying to answer all of them.
Somebody said as well, another Swift is similar. It is similar. It's similar in some senses. It's augmented reality, so it is a character that you control on the screen but the roads are real roads. It's very similar to something like Google Maps, where you can sort of follow along with the route. You can actually race the big climbs, you can race the Von2s, you can do all of that, and it looks how it should look. You can, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could check out the photos and let us know what you want to do. But
So we've just had 5th place come in, 6th place. We're currently following 13th place, 15th place.
16th, 17th. We're scrolling through now. We are now.
And it's pretty close, actually. Top 20 is very close.
It is. It's very much just the person in front, and it's now who's got what left to try and push on to the finish. They're all 5 minutes down there with a Jan Baston, who put in an absolutely amazing finish in 54 minutes. We said previously that the record set by Marco Panzani of 46 minutes is very, very, very impressive. And this just sort of shows when you're starting at the bottom. This is serious.
So currently at the minute we have Erica Magnaldi, who is the highest placed woman. We're waiting for feedback on where she actually is overall at the minute.
She is 17. 460 starters we had. Erica Magnaldi is actually still pushing on 17th position, still punching out over 5 watts per kilogram.
Which is huge.
That is absolutely huge. Magnaldi is pushing up to 16th. She is the first female cyclist that we have on the road currently.
I just wanted to check. She wasn't the lady about the QOM, was she?
No, that was a long gun, I'm sure.
Okay, so Andre Sink is currently in 14th place. He's still pushing out over 5 watts per kilo. Like this is a lot of power. This is a lot of power. So, Erica Magnaldi is an Italian racing cyclist who currently rides for UCI. She rides for WNT. I actually used to ride for WNT, don't you know, back in 2016. But she is 100% a lot quicker than me, than I've ever been.
Erica Magnaldi.
And she is showing the boys how to do it.
We can see the WNT jersey, so we just had that bit of information fed to us. But she is doing an unbelievably good ride here in 16, riding for WNT. Now a professional women's. Now it's I suppose it's
UCI.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of a world tour team.
It is a world tour team.
Is it a world tour team? I'm never really sure how, because they definitely changed the rules.
Yes, I can't remember the exact way they steer it now.
Top percentage of them is whatever.
Yeah, very good professional cycling lady. So we have. Who are we following now?
We're following Erica Magnaldi. Erica Magnaldi is now coming up towards the finish. Lucas Kopecky. I wonder if he's related to
Lotta Kopecky.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll make that junction later on. Anyway.
He's in 11th place, absolutely
11th place,
pressing on now.
Erica Magnaldi making up positions still towards the end.
Wow, that's
She's
impressive.
going to be our first woman across the line, hopefully. Peter, me.
And that's incredibly good
Erica
time.
Magnaldi pushing on, so is she going to get there? Is she going to get... I think it's a very close battle between the two now.
Bearing in mind that the women's QOM on Strava is 1 hour and 14 minutes, she's going to be under the hour.
No, she's not. I don't... No. She'll get the QOM.
She'll be under the QOM.
She'll be an hour.
Sorry,
only an hour and 2 minutes she would have done it. So this would be breaking the QOM up this climb.
If she was doing it in real life. IRL. So, I wonder what she would do.
I don't know. We'll find out when she finishes.
6 watts per kilo.
6 watts per kilo. We know what she can do power-wise. That is amazing. That's amazazingly powerful.
And she is just coming up to the finish line now. So 1 hour and my math isn't that good.
Where is she now? She's just coming up towards
1 hour and 3 minutes, we reckon.
1 hour and 4 minutes. I reckon it's going to be around the 1 hour 4 minute mark.
Which, if that was on. If this was, on the actual IRL in real life, she would have broken the QOM by 10 minutes,
which shows just how hard this sort of software makes you push. Because just that little bit of having a carrot in front of you to really push yourself, really race forward, does bring you out of your comfort zone. Definitely makes you push. Erica Marinaldi actually crossing the line now, so we'll get an exact time. She did it 9 minutes 45 down on the leader. But she's done it. She's done it 10 minutes quicker.
Wow.
Effectively than the QOM.
Crazy.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching the Rouvy race with us.
We're just going to see if you've got any final questions. There is talk that the Tour of Switzerland might be virtual.
Yeah, I have heard this. I'm not sure quite how they'll do this and how they'll do all the checks and things like this, but it'd be interesting to see them actually make a full-on World Tour race into this.
So, thank you very much.
Just having a look, we just need to move some stuff around. Still pushing on here, Turkus is still pushing on.
So currently we are following Turkus, who is the lady you can see in the bottom right corner of our screen currently. She is in 67th place. Her name is Teresa. I cannot remember the last name. Teresa something. Begins with an S, for sure.
She's
anyway.
But she's smiling, but she's definitely suffering. She's definitely in the hurt box now.
And I believe she will be our second place woman over the line.
I believe so. We're trying to see ahead. It's quite hard to check who is finishing up ahead, but she's definitely still pushing on. She's a very, very respectable 67 out of the amount of people that we had at the start. You can see the sea of people still trail behind her down the hill. So she's done an amazing ride there. 4 watts per kilo, still pushing on.
And you can really see the cadence is starting to slow, and this climb is really starting to pinch up in gradient. Oh, I'm glad we're sitting here. It's making me feel tired.
I'm very comfortable here. This is a very comfortable little spot.
You've got some admirers on Instagram, Jacob.
Yeah.
They reckon you're very good looking.
Thank you.
Anyway, back to the stream. We have Teresa, and she is pressing on. She is in the final kilometres of her effort, and the head's going down, and
she's suffering, but she is pushing through. She's making sure that she finishes.
Teresa Saskova. I knew it began with an S.
There we go. Now we've got the name. So we're watching Teresa Saskova now pushing on towards the end. She's just gone past, I think we just saw her go past the 15-kilometre mark, so she's got 2k left of this climb. Really sort of sat in that hurt box, just pacing yourself through the last bit of the climb, making sure that the cadence stays high and the power stays up.
What is it that you think about in the last 2k of a climb like this? Do you think of anything?
Wait to finish. Yeah. I can't wait till this is over. For me, I think a lot of the races that I've done previously, I did very fortunate, I did the Baby Giro, and the Tour de l'Avenir.
Which is the under 23
Giro d'Italia, and also I did the Tour de l'Avenir. I did the Tour de l'Avenir with Egan Bernal on it, and I remember just the gruppetto on one of the days was me, Alvaro, Hodge, and Fabio Jakobsen, and we just sat riding up the climb, all suffering, just trying to coach each other into getting over the climb, and then we'd do maximum attack, maximum risk on the descent, and then do the next climb. But I remember that stage just all day, just every time I got near to the top of the climb, just wanting to sort of stop riding my bike. But that is what this sort of effort makes you want. It just makes you want to sort of stop and get off and not go near it again. But for the people that can do it and the people that are really good at the climbing, it's a different sort of pain. But for someone like myself, I'm 192 centimeters. I'm quite a tall guy, so I'm not exactly a light frame.
Is that your inside leg?
Yeah. So it's definitely for me it's a bit harder, and I sort of just suffer my way up the climb.
So newborn climbers on Instagram have asked, what gear do you use in the gruppetto? You would know a lot about that.
I actually had somebody come up to me before at the bike race in the Baby Giro and asked me when the gruppetto was going to form, because I've been in the gruppetto consistently over the last couple of days, and I had been classed the king of gruppetto because I was shouting at everyone for going too hard or too slow. So I typically, in a lot of like the big climbs, I'll stick to a 39.28. Me going slow, because if I actually run the lighter gear, what I'll end up doing is doing the same cadence but just riding slower. So for me, sometimes it actually works better if I run a slightly bigger gear and just try and force myself and coach myself into getting up.
So Alberto has asked, what is the name of the application? It is Rouvy, which is R-O-U-V-Y. Not quite like groovy, but almost. And you can sign up for 30 days completely for free. You head to race.rouvy.com and you want to give this a go. So we are still following Teresa. She is smashing it. She's huge power, 270 watts. I just saw that.
Still doing 270 watts, and this is now over
this is
an hour.
An hour in.
Into the ride, and she's still putting out that sort of power, which is very impressive. Still quite a bit to go, but
300. She must have heard us.
She is definitely over the cusp of the long part of the climb. She's now at 15.6k, so she's got just under 2k to go. I remember always whenever you see that magical 2k or 1k to go sign, and you just sort of like count in your head, you go, oh, I can do that, I can do 2k, or just I can do 1k and then I've only got 1k to go. But I mean, it's however you break it down in your own head. It'd be interesting to hear what you guys do to break down the racing in your own head or in the riding in your own head. You know, for myself, I tend to break it down into, I've got a 15-minute effort and I've done 4 minutes. I say, oh, I've only got 1 more minute, and then I'm a third of the way through, or you know, something like that. Or sometimes set it so that I do kilometres and I do miles, and then during the effort I'm working out how many miles I've done versus kilometres. So be interested to hear what you guys do and how you guys work it out in your own head. Also, we've had somebody message, a few people actually say about social distancing. The social distancing between me and Kira isn't an issue. We live together, we're engaged, we've been social distancing, hence this, we're sort of the ideal people to be bringing you this race, and we are unfortunately stuck inside together.
Yeah, so sorry for being so close to you. Okay, we've also had someone ask, what is your FTP? Should I go first? I think they must be asking me, because they definitely want to know what mine is. So my best ever 20-minute test, I did 265 watts at, I would have been about 58, 60 kilos, somewhere between them. But at the minute, I reckon we're talking maybe 200 something, 210, 220, probably at the minute. But obviously before I was a full-time athlete, and now I make YouTube videos about cycling, so my fitness requirements are slightly less.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a full-time professional cyclist, so it does sort of jump around a little bit. I have to sort of keep on top of it and work out what I should actually be training to. My FTP tends to be around, if I'm around 77 to 78 kilos, it will tend to be roughly around the 400 watt mark. Will roughly be what I'll aim to ride out for an hour. I have done some tests that have been a lot higher, but actually I tend to, the 20-minute test I can actually get through, because I can do the big 5-minute effort or the big 10-minute effort. So that necessarily doesn't give me the perfect number for my actual. Yeah,
I mean, it's a tough one, because when you're predicting your FTP, obviously you can take 95% of your 20-minute power, but for a rider who is a more time trialist, they actually might be able to get to like 96, 97, 98% of their.
They can't go any harder, but they can hold
Yeah,
that same.
whereas for a sprinter, they can probably go faster for 20 minutes, but then they would find that over an hour they would have a larger drop off. So that's all about knowing where you're at on the whole power
Now
curve.
we are following along with Turka S again, and
Teresa. Turka S is her username.
I keep reading the username, but then she is now just over the 16 kilometers. She's 16.3k in, so she has now only got a kilometre, just under a kilometre left. So she's really pushing in. She's definitely in the hurt box, but you can see the landscape. You can see the top now. So
Newborn Climber says, thanks for the FTP comments. You are very welcome. If you have any more questions.
Don't get too... I think a lot of people focus a lot on FTP, and I don't think that it needs to be such a big deal. I think it's a really good thing and a really good training tool, but I've never lost a race because of my FT. Like, well, I suppose you do, but don't let it get in your head too much that, oh, so-and-so can do more power than I can do. And also the numbers aren't necessarily as it seems because everyone reacts differently. So the 20-minute and then 80% thing isn't necessarily the same. Also, I saw somebody mention about Malaysian cycling and what they think about Malaysians and what I think about Malaysian cycling. And I absolutely loved it. I did the Tour de Langkawi 2 years ago in Malaysia, and it's just blisteringly hot, the hottest bike race I've ever done by a long way. And that was just amazing. And I think actually I loved it. I really, really loved it. I'd love to go back again and just sort of ride around and maybe not have to kill myself 200k a day. But I think it was an awesome experience. So,
am I correct in thinking that the track rider, is he Malaysian?
Yeah. Malaysian. He was world champion.
Yes.
He's now like a superstar.
Azil Hasni Awan.
Yeah.
He is the coolest track sprinter ever. He wheelies every time he crosses the finish line. And I don't know if you remember, but there was a very famous Kieran race where he actually got a splinter this long through his calf, and he still finished the race. He got third in the World Cup or the World Championships. Yeah, he had this
He is now, when I was in Malaysia, he is like a superstar. He is.
And rightly so.
Yeah, he is really good. So we are now coming up to the final push, and we have Therese. So she's now currently doing over 300 watts still, pushing in this last section of the climb. She's got about 400 meters left to go, which is nothing. So if you can hear me, just keep going and push on. That's it. I can see you pushing on in the bottom. So
maybe she can hear you.
Yeah, that's it.
Almost there. I mean, there's just one more corner, isn't there? Is there? I don't know. Where's the map? No, she's got no more corners.
No, it has. It's one more corner.
Is it?
The Armstrong Pantani corner. So
she is absolutely smashing it out the park right now.
Still on her, and she is still doing over 4 watts per kilo, which now we are well over the hour mark. We're at the hour 20 mark around
really
roughly.
impressive.
So an hour 20 to still be riding at the 4 watts per kilo mark is amazing.
So some of you out there are telling us that you can't actually ride outside at the minute. We're very lucky in the UK. We are allowed to go out on our own for bike rides or walks or runs. If you are stuck inside, I would definitely recommend at least trying this application, Rouvy, because it's completely free for 30 days. If you don't, it's up to you. You can test it out, see how you get on with it. You can train with it. You can race with it. Join us on Sunday and Tuesday for 2 more races. And I just think it's amazing. You can ride routes from all over the world, all over France, all over Germany, wherever you want to go.
So even if you are locked down in France, you can still go off and ride your favourite ones. But it's definitely something that's worth doing, worth downloading. It's 30 days for free, so at least you get the opportunity to give it a go and see if you like it. As long as you've got a turbo trainer, it doesn't necessarily have to be a smart trainer, although to do the races like we're doing and watching now, it will have to be a smart trainer. But as long as you can get out and do some riding and something to keep you going in this time, everyone's just got to stick together and get through this.
Newborn Climber says he doesn't have a turbo.
Oh, we need to get a turbo.
Have you got rollers?
Rollers, you can use
You
rollers.
can use rollers.
A je to tady.
Well, you're really going to have to invest in a turbo, I would say.
Or you just lay on your back and pedal with your bike.
Yeah, I've
Stejně
seen that on
kilometr.
Instagram.
And there we go. And now she's crossed the line. She's finished
Oh,
a
we
very,
can see
very
she-
respectable 24
She's looking a
minutes
lot
now.
happier in that corner now.
Yeah, she's definitely looking a lot happier. So,
Wow, that's awesome. So,
there you go.
from Jake and I, we just want to say thank you very much for tuning in on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Next race is going to be on Sunday, so come back then, 5 o'clock on Sunday, to see us commentate that race. Anything more to add, Jake?
Just let us know in the comments down below in this video what you thought of us and what you thought of this application. And obviously, if you want to download it, just log on to race.rouvy.com and you can download and enter your email and download the application for yourself. Give it a go, and you can even get involved on Sunday and join in, and we can be commentating on you racing off and trying to win. And just let us know.
Awesome. So
Perfect.
thank you very much.
Thanks very much for the time, and yeah.
See you later.
For now.
Stupňů. Čtrnáct. Metrů. Co? Jo. 340 metrů. Tak, aspoň jsem to dal. Posledních 100 metrů. poprvé v životě na Mont Ventoux a taky na dlouho naposledy. Za hodinu 24 na 93. fleku. Pěkný. Vystupňovaným závěrem. Takže zase příště, možná u 4. etapy. Tak se mějte.